Jussie Smollett is going to fight this thing until he goes to the grave. You know what's amazing about this? What I find to be amazing is when everyone knows that you're lying. When everyone knows that you are not telling the truth, like it's just you putting up this front that no one is buying, he still wants to fight this. And he's still and see, here's the thing. I understand it. I get it. Because if he confesses and changes his story, well, that's a lot of money he's got to pay up. And I'm going to talk about this, how he's suing the city of Chicago now. Okay, so, I mean, this is ridiculous. But I get it because he's got a lot on the line with this story. Because here's the thing. His career is pretty much, it's pretty much over. Unless he just self-produces. But here's the thing. He's untouchable. Because here's the thing. Pretty much for the rest of his life, when people think of Jussie Smollett, they will not think of Empire. They will think of the fake hate crime. They will think of Dave Chappelle calling him Juicy Smollett. That's what we will associate with Jussie Smollett. So this is from Fox News. By the way, all three of my stories are from Fox News this time. So this is a rarity. Okay. Jussie Smollett. Oh my God. Jussie Smollett says that $10,000 he was mandated to pay after the criminal case against him was closed should prevent the city of Chicago from seeking reimbursement for the police investigation following his claim back in January 2019 that he was a victim of a racist and homophobic attack. Let me say this. I want to ask you guys a basic math question. Okay. Do you believe that $10,000 is equal to... Do you believe that $10,000 is equal to $130,000? I mean, just do the math. Does $10,000 equal $130,000? It does not. Jussie and his lawyers are saying that the 10 grand should be enough. Let's do this. Let's say you made a loan to a friend. Okay? We'll use small basic numbers, okay? We'll do stuff in proportion here. Okay. Let's say you loan me $130. Okay? I come back to you with $10. And I say that should be enough. You shouldn't want any more. You would look at me like I'm a crazy person. The city of Chicago, the police spent $130,000 investigating this fake hate crime, and Chicago is a crime-ridden city. And they have real problems to deal with. But Jussie Smollett was, he wanted more money, he wanted more attention, he wanted more fame, he wanted more notoriety. And so he said, you know what? Let me just pretend to be the victim of a crime here. And let me just deal with it. Let me just, let's play this out. I'm going to be in the news, and then people are going to instantly feel sorry for me. I'm going to get a pay raise. I'm going to get interviews. People are going to want to work with me. People are going to come to my defense. People are going to have pity for me. This is all going to work out. So Jussie Smollett was extraordinarily selfish and said, you know what, let me do my thing. Let me do my thing. He did his thing. He made his plan, all for it to be found out to be a lie. And let's just go back over the story again. Okay, this is a small, you can find this in the article. In January, Smollett told police he was attacked by two masked men as he was walking home from a Chicago Subway sandwich shop at approximately 2 a.m. The openly gay actor alleged that the masked men beat him, taunted him with the homophobic and racial slurs, and yelled, "This is MAGA country." Okay, so let's go over the story again now. So Jussie Smollett, first of all, I don't know if you've ever been to Chicago, but Chicago has some crazy weather, okay? It can be raining one second and then sunshine and rainbows the next. In the winter, it gets extraordinarily cold. I mean, during this time, they had a polar vortex. A polar vortex. So he comes out, he's walking, and if you see the footage, he is the only guy, he's the only person smart enough to be on the street at that moment. And he goes to get a Subway sandwich at 2 a.m. He walked. This guy walked from his apartment to get a Subway sandwich at 2 a.m. in Chicago during a polar vortex. I love the way Dave Chappelle talked about this, because he explained it in a way that everyone we knew, and we were like, that's the reason we don't believe this guy. So many things went wrong with his approach. First of all, you have to understand the audience of Empire, okay? Empire is a show for black people. Try going into a group of white people and just talking about the show Empire. No, very few, if any of them are going to comment on it. The only thing they might say about Empire is like, oh, that's the one with like that actor who did that fake hate crime, right? That's probably the only thing they would know about Empire. So he said that they said the two attackers in MAGA hats, mind you, in Chicago, which is really a place where you want to wear a MAGA hat, said, aren't you that, I think it was faggot nigger from Empire? These people wouldn't know who Jussie Smollett is. I didn't know who he was. I had heard one of his songs before, but I had no idea who he was. And I'm a black person from a black family, and I attend a black church. And I heard people sometimes talk about Empire, but I never joined the conversation because I just didn't care, and I don't watch TV like that, especially black TV. And so he sold the story, and it's like, no one believes this. Like, no one believes this, and it sounded fishy from the beginning. But, as I am with crimes or alleged crimes, it's like, okay, it may sound off, but let's investigate. Let's see if there's anything here. Is there any evidence here? We look at the evidence. It all points back to Jussie Smollett. Or as some of you know him, Juicy Smollett. This is... He is getting on people's nerves at this point. There's no one, here's the thing. His friends don't even believe him. Here's the thing. Anybody with sense that just looked at this evidence, here's the thing. You could find an unbiased person, find an unbiased person who's never heard of Jussie Smollett, who doesn't know what Empire is. If you just laid out the evidence for them and explain to them what happened, they would look at you funny. Because the story sounds funny. No one believes this guy, but he's going to fight this. He's gonna fight this for an extraordinarily long time. It's just ridiculous. Attorneys for the former Empire actor filed a response Tuesday to Chicago's lawsuit in federal court. They also filed a counterclaim against the city, saying Smollett was the victim of a malicious prosecution that caused humiliation and extreme distress. That's another thing that irritates me with Jussie Smollett. He got upset. See, here's the thing. He got upset at the police who investigated the crime. He went to the police. Think about this. He goes to the police and says, I suffered a hate crime. Or he didn't go to the police. The police came to him. He called them up. They came to his apartment. He's still wearing the noose around his neck. And he's like, do you want to take off the noose? And he's like, yeah, I just wanted you guys to see the noose on me. Oh, yeah, right. Okay. But he got mad at the police for investigating the crime. Here's the thing. What if he reported the crime and the police said, you know what, we'll get to it whenever. We got a lot of crimes, we'll get to it whenever. Do you know how hard the Chicago police would be slammed? They'd probably fire the chief of police. They would probably try to get the mayor to resign. There are so many things. And at the time it was Rahm Emanuel. And there were just so many people who'd be like, oh my gosh, see, this is what's wrong with the police. Like, they don't care about black people. They don't care about gays. They're not investigating hate crimes. They're not doing their job. The police did their job. It comes out that he's lying. And now he's upset that he was upset that they investigated him. I mean, wow. Prosecution caused humiliation and extreme distress. Yeah, you should be distressed. You made the whole thing up. That's a serious thing to do. First of all, you fake a hate crime, which means you report the hate crime. Pretty much the Chicago police pretty much said, okay, the nation is looking at us right now. Drop everything. We gotta see what happened here. Like, we gotta get this, and we gotta get this right now. The Chicago police used all of their resources, and they come out and they say, okay, you know what? You're working overtime, we're gonna do this. They did their jobs and caused humiliation and extreme distress. He should have thought about that before he made this whole thing up. See, here's the thing. He thought he was smarter than the police. He thought him and these three guys, these three guys, Jussie Smollett and the Osundario brothers, they're sitting there thinking, okay, we can do this. No, you can't. You came up with this idea, and it didn't work. It failed. You blatantly lied, and now you're humiliated. Yes, you should be humiliated, and you should be in prison. He should be in prison. And here's the amazing thing. The police are kind of pulling off. They're just saying, look, just give us our money back. We put in this much money worth of resources into your crime, which turned out to be fake. Give us our money back. Here's the thing. I guarantee you, I almost guarantee you, it's too late now. Too much damage has been done. if he just paid the 130 grand, we wouldn't be thinking about Jussie Smollett anymore. Dave Chappelle never would have done his thing. I mean, he might have, but because, this thing just keeps it's like every month, ever since January, since the first thing. Do you guys realize this? You guys realize we are about to be in 2020. You realize that? In less than 45 days, we will be in 2020. This whole case, this whole mess started in January 2019. This started 11 months ago, and it's like every month something else comes up. He's going to keep fighting this. He's going to keep fighting this. He's come too far to give up now. Like, he's at a point where he can't possibly change his story. He can't. I mean, I just don't know how you can be connected with this guy. Like, it's seriously not worth it. Like, I wouldn't even want to be seen around this dude. Like, I don't want to be seen hanging out with him at an ice cream shop or, going to the gym with this guy. This is not a guy I want to be around or associate with. This is just ridiculous. The city of Chicago should get their money back. And it should come from Jussie Smollett. Not the taxpayers. The taxpayers, they're already paying enough. They're already paying a ton of taxes. They did their part. Their hard-earned money went to taxes that went to local government. Some of it went to local government. And they used $130,000 worth of these taxes to investigate a fake hate crime for a guy who just wanted more fame and more money. Sickening. It's sickening. I seriously care about the story because this is just wrong. This is wrong. You guys know how much I hate victimhood. And what's worse is, see, what this does, this hurts people who actually suffer hate crimes. Those who actually suffer hate crimes, it's like, man, it's like, well, now what? Fake people, victims, quote unquote victims of fake hate crimes hurt actual victims of actual hate crimes. People who falsely report rape or sexual assault or sexual misconduct hurt those who actually are victims of those actual crimes. I seriously care about this story. Like, I don't know how long this is gonna. I don't know how long this is gonna last. I gotta be honest. I didn't even think it would last this long. I mean, I would like to say it'll be done within 2020, but I mean, we're seriously like stretching this thing out. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, he doesn't think he should have to pay because he says the $10,000 was enough. That is just the dumbest argument I've ever heard. If you give me $130 and I return to you $10, you're going to ask, where's my other $120? I'm going to say, what are you talking about? That $10 is enough. Man, get out of here. Get out of here with that actual garbage. Okay. Aaron Carter. I don't know if you guys know. Here's the thing. Millennials and some older Gen Zs know Aaron Carter. If you're younger, you probably don't know him. You're probably like, who the heck is this guy? There was a movie. This is a message for my younger audience. My fellow Gen Zs. So there was a movie called Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. There was the show, but there was a movie, and the movie was great. It's a great movie. Like, I could watch it. I seriously could watch it at any time. Like, it's a movie that I really don't get tired of. Because it just, it brings me back to my childhood, and I really enjoy it. But Aaron Carter did a song called "Leave It Up to Me," and there's a whole music video in it, and it's just, oh my god, it's such a banger. Like, I still listen to it to this day. Like, it's a good song. But anyway, that's kind of who Aaron Carter is. He's a artist. Oh, also, if you let's see, if you know Liberty's Kids, the theme song, it's the guy who kind of like raps his part. That's Aaron Carter. So that's who that is. If you ever watch Aaron Carter, great theme song, by the way. But it's Aaron Carter and this girl named Kaylin. I can't think of her last name right now. But anyway, that's who Aaron Carter is. And, that may be what you know about him, if you're, younger. But anyway, I would say watch that movie. Watch the music video. It's certainly worth your time. And also watch Liberty's Kids. It's a really good, it doesn't get into too much of it. It doesn't get too deep, but it really tells, the story of the Revolutionary War in a very, very fun fashion. Okay, so here we go. That was just some background on who this guy is. Because this guy, he is just really fallen off. Like, he's really just fallen off. And it sucks. Like, he looks bad. He looks like he's about to drop dead. Hopefully that's not the case, because he's only 31. He's a young dude. Okay. Aaron Carter says he's devastated after reportedly being ordered to surrender his firearms when his sister Angel was granted an extended restraining order against him. Aaron, 31, who has been locked in a public dispute with his siblings Angel and Nick, took to his Instagram story on Tuesday to reveal to fans that his guns will be taken away and to accuse his sister of lying in court. "I am devastated by what happened in court today," Aaron wrote on his Instagram story. "My sister lied over and over in an effort to take away my Second Amendment rights, and she did it on behalf of my brother, Nick Carter, to silence me talking about how he raped and sexually assaulted multiple women. I will abide by the judge's order, but I will not stop speaking on behalf of victims such as Melissa Schumann. I am saddened by my family and what they have done to me. Your lives have broken my heart." Aaron did not immediately respond to Fox News' request for comment. His sister's pretty good looking. At least in this picture. Aaron will be forced to stay away from his sister for an additional year and cannot possess firearms in that time, Entertainment Tonight reports. He was reportedly ordered to stay 100 yards away from Angel, her husband, their home, and their respective places of work. He's also barred from harassing or threatening them on social media in any way. The judge's ruling merely extends a previously granted restraining order. Aaron also posted a photo of himself high-fiving Schumann with the caption, "Yes, no more fake halos for a year. Hashtag no Angelo." Which is, hashtag no and then Angel O. So I think it's kind of a dig on his sister. Trio in place for one more year at the Melissa Schumann. I'm not sure who this Melissa Schumann is. If this is indeed her in this photo with Aaron Carter, who now unfortunately has a face tattoo, she's cute. She's cute. Aaron previously accused his older brother of sexual assault and claimed that a restraining order filed by Nick was retaliation for siding with his accusers. However, Nick denies the claim. Nick and his sister Angel have been trying to get Aaron the help he needs and sought protective orders against Aaron because he is not well and they are concerned for the safety of themselves and their family. His lawyer, Michael D. Holtz, said in a statement to Fox News at the time. According to TMZ, Aaron yelled at the judge after the hearing didn't go his way and he was told that he was too dangerous to possess firearms. The star reportedly said he would simply go to another state to buy more guns. The outlet reports that the restraining order docs were filmed in September after Aaron allegedly threatened to send hitmen after Angel. She claims she fears for herself and her husband. The LA County Sheriff's Office previously told Fox News that Aaron surrendered 2 of his firearms to their officers. However, Aaron claimed at the time he still had his pistol and shotgun for protection, which he'll have to now give up. Aaron previously posted a video to Instagram in which he showed that he purchased guns legally and was a supporter of the Second Amendment. Okay, so I'm not going to get into the whole situation of what his brother Nick supposedly did according to Aaron. But I do want to get into this. It's important. The Second Amendment is an extraordinary, it's just a beautiful concept. It really is. All right. And I think what people have to look at, that's some good tea. What people have to look at and understand is, well, let me ask you this before I go into that. If someone accuses you of a crime and says that you are a danger to them, should you have to give up your guns when you haven't done anything? And I don't know if I talk about this movie Minority Report, and it's a very, very good movie. I really encourage you to see it. I'm not a fan of Tom Cruise, really. I like him in Mission Impossible. I think he's good with that stuff. Top Gun, I think it's an overrated movie. But anyway, there's a movie called Minority Report, and it's kind of one of his early films. You can see how young he is. And pretty much what the concept is really interesting, and it makes you think. But there is this police force known as the Pre-Crime Unit. And what it is there is this police force, or it's the specific unit where pretty much they go and stop crime before it happens. And the way they do that is there are these 3, they're not gods. I can't think of a word. I'll call them robots. There were these 3 robots who pretty much see into the future. And they see things that are going to happen. And whenever these robots see that a crime is about to happen, they send this little message to the pre-crime unit. And then the pre-crime unit has to do their best to get to the scene of the crime as fast as, or not quite the scene of the crime, but the scene where the crime is supposed to take place as fast as possible and stop the person from committing the crime. And so it's just a really good movie, and I just encourage you to watch it. But I find this to be interesting. Should people have to give up their guns for? I mean, should you have to give up your? Should you have to surrender your guns just because someone deems you a threat? Now, he hasn't actually done anything. I think he hasn't actually brought harm to them. But she got the restraining order. And by the way, if you don't know how restraining orders work, it's not like there's this. I remember talking to this one person, and he didn't quite understand how restraining orders worked. And he's like, how do they know if you're like so many feet away? And it's like, but the point of a restraining order is to say, okay, it's pretty much stay away from this person. There's no like police officer who follows you wherever you go and is making sure that you are so many feet or yards away. So I mean that's not how it works, in case you didn't know that. But anyway, I mean it's huge. So I mean what do you think? I think it's an interesting concept, and I think it's something interesting to think on. Personally, I think not. I don't think it's okay to You can't tell me to surrender my firearms when I haven't done anything. Like there's this one law. I can't think of what it is. I'll have to pull it up. But there's this one law where if you feel, and it's not in every state, but if you feel that there are certain people who you are threatened by and you don't like the idea of them having a gun, you can call the police and tell them, okay, this, and I may be getting the details, I may be a little bit off on the details, but it's like, okay, I'm not comfortable with this person having a gun. I don't think I'm safe with this person owning a gun. And pretty much, it's like you are monitored because of that. You haven't done anything. It's just you don't feel safe. It's just someone else doesn't feel safe with you having your firearms. I think that's terrible. And I think it's wrong. Anyway, I don't know all the details that happened, with this Nick guy. I hope they get it together. Here's the thing. I hate seeing families being torn apart. I hate seeing families, fighting and stuff like that. I will say this. There are times in life where it's best to not. Sometimes it's best to just not talk to people. It's just best to not talk to certain family members. It's not that you hate them. It's not that you don't love them. It's just that, it's better that we do not talk. It's just better that we don't interact with each other. And, I'm not saying to do that often. But, if you have a certain family member that you two just kind of go out and you guys just don't really get along, and when other families are around, it makes things worse. Sometimes it's just better to just not have a relationship with that person. It may be your cousin, your grandmother, your dad, your sister, your brother. It could be any of your family members. It could just be a person that you have a relationship with. Sometimes it's just better to just end the relationship than, carry this stuff out and just drag other people into it. Seeing families, fight against each other, it's rough, man. There's, and one of the themes of The Godfather, it's a pretty stupid theme in my opinion, but it's, a pretty stupid way to live by. But it's like, don't ever go against your family, which is really stupid. Because there are times where, your family is just not doing the right thing. And I'm not just saying that because it's The Godfather, but it's almost like because they're your family, you have to agree with them. You have to do what they do, and you can't go against them. That's just a stupid collectivist concept that I really don't recommend. And I actually strongly suggest that you don't do that. I'm not saying go against them. I'm just saying don't just go with it. Don't just do something and go with something just because it's your family. That's just nonsense. Unfortunately, you can't pick your family. I ask you guys this. If you guys had the ability to pick your family, like let's just play out the scenario here. Would you like to be able to pick who your parents are? Personally, I think that'd be kind of interesting. Overall, I look at it this way: if I could go back, and I know I'm getting off track here, but this really just came to me. If I had the option, with the knowledge that I have now, if I could go back and have the ability to pick who my parents were and who I'd be born to, would I pick different people other than my parents? My answer is yes. Because there are things, it's not because I hate my parents, but my parents, because my parents got together, you guys know that I have sickle cell anemia. And what that does is it shortens life expectancy. And the average life expectancy of someone with sickle cell anemia is about 60 to 70 years. So it's not like, I'm going to die at 25. It's not like that. But it is like, okay, I won't be able to live as long as I won't be able to, but it's, the odds of me living to where I would like to be are against me. I feel the effects of sickle cell anemia. I probably feel it the most out of all my siblings. It's just, it is what it is. But that's kind of the main reason why I would pick different people. Cause it's just, it's a different kind of life that you don't really understand unless you have something. And I'm going to say this about people with invisible diseases. It's difficult having a disease that no one else can see. It's difficult because people are like, oh, you look fine. Oh, just, push through it or just do whatever. It's like people just don't understand it. They don't get it. And I'm going to say this to people with, invisible, diseases and, stuff like that, don't even worry about those people. Unless it's like your significant other or your children or your close friends or like employer. Don't explain it to these other random people because they're not going to get it. You never fully understand something unless you go through it. Like that's just how it works. I've tried explaining sickle cell anemia. I've explained sickle cell anemia to multiple people and they get it, but you simply just don't understand it. It's like someone with, someone had like a neurological disease. You can't really explain it. You can explain the concept to them, but you can't quite explain everything and you just won't get it. So if you do have one, just don't worry about those other people. And because ultimately they don't matter. And it's like, you're the one who's facing the disease. You're the one who's got to work with it. You're the one who's got to deal with it. Don't try to explain it to everybody and don't try to get everyone to understand it because they won't. Okay. So now another Second Amendment story. First of all, this is in a way, this is a great story. This is a great story, but it's also kind of morbid. Okay. So there was a Georgia teenage girl who planned a knife attack at a predominantly black church. So luckily it didn't happen. It stopped. I mean, it didn't stop because it never happened, but it was prevented and it's just, great. This is tremendous. Let's get into the article. A teenage girl in Georgia was arrested after an alleged plot was discovered by her classmates last week to attack a mostly black church by using knives on worshipers because of their race, according to officials. The Gainesville, Georgia Police Department said on Tuesday the white 16-year-old girl, who had not been identified, planned to attack the Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church located in the northern part of the state. Okay, so, well, let me just say this. If you don't know what Episcopals are, Episcopalians are, okay, so first of all, I'm not going to get into whole religion and theology and stuff like that, but I'm going to give you a little basic background. So, the Episcopalians are, I guess you could say, descendants of the Anglican Church, which was started in 1538, I want to say, by King Henry VIII, the Church of England. So they kind of branch off from there. And this is according to the Episcopalians' main website of, what we believe. We Episcopalians believe in a loving, liberating, and life-giving God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. As constituent members of the Anglican Communion in the United States, we are descendants of and partners with the Church of England and the Scottish Episcopal Church, and are part of the third largest group of Christians in the world. We believe in the teachings of Jesus Christ, whose life, death, and resurrection saved the world. We have a legacy of inclusion, aspiring to tell and exemplify God's love for every human being. Women and men serve as bishops, priests, and deacons in our church. Lay people and clergy cooperate as leaders at all levels of our church. Leadership is a gift from God and can be expressed by all people in our church, regardless of sexual identity or orientation. Okay, so that's kind of, that's what they claim to believe. All right, so that's Episcopalians for you. The plot was revealed when Gainesville high school students told administrators on Friday the 16-year-old had a notebook with detailed plans to kill worshipers at the church, according to Gainesville Police Chief Jay Parrish. The student, who immediately reported this to school officials saved lives, Parrish said at a news conference on Tuesday. She had written down how she wanted to do it, the best way to do it. She had procured some butcher knives, kitchen knives to do the attack with. After police were notified by school officials, when the threat was verified, the 16-year-old girl was taken into custody and charged with criminal attempt to commit murder, the police chief said. She's being held in a youth detention center in Gainesville. While details of the alleged plot have yet to be released, police said their investigation indicated the church was targeted by the juvenile based on the racial demographic of the church members. Gainesville is about 50 miles northeast of Atlanta and is a city of just over 40,000 people, with 17% of whom are African American. Yeah, so there's more to the article, but it's not that critical to the point I'm trying to make here. So it's interesting. I find it amazing. If this girl, let me say this. People may call this sexist, but I really don't care. This is a girl that was going to do this. I saw this and I was like, I had to refresh the page a few times to just make sure I wasn't going crazy. It was a girl who was going to do this. Usually it's guys. So this was really something to me. But anyway, let's just do this here. You realize, if this girl, okay, so here's the thing. No one is going to talk about this story. Okay? If this girl planned to use, let's say, an AR-15. Let's say she was going to use as what the left calls assault rifles, which is just a stupid made-up term. If she was going to use a rifle, Democrats would be all over this. They'd say, "Oh my God, see, this is why we got to ban guns. This is why, the Second Amendment, we got to change it. We got to adapt it. We're going to take your guns and all that stuff." But no. No one's going to talk about this. No one. Why? Because it's a knife. And again, let's do some numbers here. I quote this page often. Number of murder victims in the United States in 2018 by weapon. Handguns, 6,603. Firearms, type not stated, 2,963. Knives or cutting instruments, 1,515. Other weapons or weapons not stated, 900. Personal weapons, hands, fists, feet, etc., 672. Blunt objects like clubs or hammers, 443. Rifles, 297. Shotguns, 237. Other guns, 167. Asphyxiation, 90. Narcotics, 78. It goes on and on from there. But, look at this. Look at this. More people were killed by hands and feet and fists than rifles. More people were killed by knives than rifles. I mean, if anything, I mean, like, let's be real. See, this is the thing. And this shows just how dangerous that the left can be on this matter. I'm not saying I hate, leftists. I don't hate them. I don't hate liberals. I disagree with liberals and leftists. They're just, to me, exceptionally dangerous. But see, they're not trying to take away knives and stuff like that. They're not trying to do that. They're trying to take away they're trying to take away your ability to defend yourself with a firearm and protect yourself, your loved ones, and your possessions with firearms. That's what they're trying to do. Because see, here's the thing. People often people will say, and this is a very stupid point, but people will say that Nazis are right wing, or that Nazis were right wing, and that's just stupid. Okay, because let's think about this. The right is very pro Second Amendment. We believe that it is your right to have a gun and be able to defend yourself, your loved ones, and your possessions, and your home. The Nazis, see, here's the thing. In Nazi Germany, private citizens could not own guns. They couldn't. All the guns were for the military. What does that do? Well, if you're a citizen, you can't fight against us. Why? Because we have the guns. You do not. You may have glass bottles. You may have, a bunch of alcohol bottles and stuff like that. You can break them and check them against the wall, and, you can try to shank us with them. But you got to come close to us. With a gun, I don't have to get close to you. I can just shoot you. And what that does is it's like, okay, we can tell you what to do, and if you don't like it, that's really too bad. You just deal with it. You just bend over and do what we say. That's why the Second Amendment is so important. It's because if your government is doing something that you believe to be wrong, and they're trying to do stuff that you deem to be unjust, and is, just becoming authoritarian, or becoming like a dictatorship, you have the ability to protect yourself and to protect that which you love and defend yourself. When you don't have firearms, you cannot do that. I've told my sister and I have talked about this multiple times. I don't make the government pitch to her, but she talked about how when she goes out on her own, and when she lives on her own, that she will carry a bat. And I try to tell my sister, I call her Sissy. I say, Sissy, listen. When you have a bat, you have to get close to the perpetrator. You have to get close to the person trying to harm you. And here's the thing. When you get close, that means they have a chance to grab what you have. If I have a rifle, I don't have to get close to you. With a bat, I have to get into swinging range. I have to, and that means up close and personal. And I told her, I was like, what? I was like, say it's a guy. I said, just use me for an example. I can easily overpower you. Very easily. My sister's older than me. She's 24. You guys know that I'm 20. But it's like a guy, as a guy, I can just simply overpower you. So I could easily, you may hit me, but I will somehow stop you swinging the bat, take it from you, and I will turn it against you. And then you are really done so. I mean, you have to hope someone else comes along, because if you just leave it up to me, I'm going to beat you or hurt you or do whatever I want to you until I'm tired or until someone else stops me. That's why firearms are so important. I'm not saying to live in fear, but just, be prepared and be ready. Put yourself in the best situation possible. Don't put yourself in here's the thing. You don't want a fair fight. If someone breaks into my home, no, I'm not going to be like, okay, well, let's fight like men, put up your dukes, dog. No. You come in my home, you try to hurt my family. I'm going to give myself the best advantage possible. I want to live. I want to be healthy. I do not want to sustain injuries. If I do, I want to keep them to a minimum. I want to maximize the damage to you, minimize the damage to me. I don't want a fair fight. I don't want to get up close and personal. With firearms, you can make that possible. You can't do that with a bat. You can't do that with a knife. Unless you got throwing knives and you're accurate with that. But even with that, you're throwing a weapon at the individual. They can use that and throw it back at you. That's the beautiful thing about firearms. That's what the left wants. That's why the left wants to take away guns. They don't want to take away your hands and feet. They don't want to take away knives. They don't want to take away clubs and hammers. They don't want to do that. They want to take away your guns. They want to take away your ability to distance yourself from the danger. Because here's the thing. When you can't defend yourself, when worse comes to worse, and you can't defend yourself, that's it. You either do what I say or you leave. Or I kill you and I pretty much force you to do whatever I want you to do. The Second Amendment is crucial. It's the most important one. We lose the Second Amendment. If we have our guns taken, our rights go very quickly. Extraordinarily quickly. We say, "Oh my God, you're taking away you're saying I can't say what I want to say?" No, you can't. Well, that's not fair. Okay, well now there's a gun pointed at you. Do something about it. You don't have one. It's crucially important. I thank God that this girl was stopped. This is a girl who's sick in the head. She has a lot of hate in her. She needs to be punished for her, for what was going to happen. And also you can kind of take this back to Minority Report. Some may debate, oh, she shouldn't be punished because she didn't actually do the thing. Some people would make that argument. But anyway, I encourage you to watch the movie. It's really good. It really makes you think. Tom Cruise does great in it. There's action. A few funny scenes. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. But anyway, man, the Second Amendment, man, it is so crucial. Personally, I think it should be the First Amendment. I think I would move the First Amendment down to number 2. That's just how important the Second Amendment is. When you don't have the ability to fight back, you have to do what I say. You have to. You may have a choice. Here's the thing. It's like, I can give you the options. Okay, you either do what I say, or I shoot you, and I kill you, and I hurt your family. For self-preservation, you're going to do the thing that you don't want to do, and you're gonna try to do what it takes to survive. We don't want to survive. We want to thrive. I'm telling you, man. We got to protect the Second Amendment. I know I've been talking about it a lot lately, but seriously, man, it is so important. We lose it. Oh, it's pretty much over.